Hi guys, Nomis here. It's been a little while and I'm happy to welcome you to Nomishavn episode 41. In the last episode I built what was possibly the most complicated build I ever did, with this large metro station on multiple levels. And with the station being called Parliament, it is only right today to build what will be the Nomishavn Parliament. Something I've been looking forward to for a good while. For a long time I just didn't know what asset to use. But when Martin Norlin, a great Swedish asset creator, released Riksdagshuset, the Swedish parliament building, the choice really was easy. While the real building sits on its own island, I want to do something different, mostly because the geography in Nomishavn is very different and I'd like to do my own thing with it. As you can see in the video, the asset comes with 3 parts because it's Swedish and of course there's some assembly required. And what I'm doing is putting the back half of the island, of the back half of the building on the mainland, while the front building sits on a man-made island or pier. And they're connected by these bridges that cross a small canal between them. And I also put in some pedestrian road bridges at the street level. The current parliament building for Nomishavn was finished in 1887. And at that time, most of the politicians would arrive from Björgvin on boat. While the dock sitting directly in front of the parliament is not in use today, this used to be a ferry stop. But after the large metro station finished construction and opened a few decades later, this dock quickly went into disuse, and is today just a popular lunch spot for employees at the parliament to sit and have lunch with a view of the water. To build out the pier around the building, I first tried to use some key networks, but it was just way too wonky with the terrain in such a tight space, and it was much better to use some PO cubes and add some fitting custom textures. This also makes the key stand out a little more here. As for surfaces, I covered mostly with cobblestone once I built it out, but down on the dock I use a wooden plank surface instead. And to finish it off, I add some more details like statues, planters, benches, and of course the Nomishavn flag, which I introduced in the last episode. There will be quite a few more builds to cover the surrounding areas as well, but I'll get to that when I'm building it. Right next to the Parliament saw an extension to the University of Nomishavn, which was built around the same time. This is the home of the university's Faculty of Political Science. I'm using a mix of workshop and vanilla buildings, some from University City by King Leno, and quite a few vanilla university buildings from Campus DLC. And for the dorms, I'm using some great workshop assets that I've used earlier. Once I get the buildings placed, I'll sort out some nice surfaces, and around the dorms I give them a little bit of green space around the back with some pots and hedges. With the main buildings placed down, I was left with quite a bit of open space, and I used some of the Campus DLC buildings to fill it out, and just make some changes to them in Bob. Otherwise there's a lot of bike parking, planters and benches. Just the kind of stuff you'd expect to find in an area like this. I felt these dorm buildings would look great with some ivy hanging on the wall, so I go ahead and add this in using Bob, saving both time and prop count. In this open area between the metro station and Parliament, I created a little plaza centered around a nice and big statue. The statue in this plaza is of Carl Magnus Berg, the main author of Nomishavn's constitution in 1855, believed to be the most important person for democracy in Nomishavn, which had been an absolute monarchy until this. and since then has been a constitutional monarchy. The next build for this episode is going to be the Nomishavn Stock Exchange, a very important and historical place. In the early 1800s, the city-state's financial market had grown big, and there was a need for a central place for a stock exchange. With no suitable place in the already cramped Bjørgvin, it was built in Christiania and was finished in 1832. I'm also here using a great asset from Martin Norlin, the Stockholm Stock Exchange. But for the layout, I'm taking some inspiration from the Oslo Stock Exchange. It might not be as easy to make out here in Google Earth, but it sits on its own lot with plenty of green space, trees, fences and a nice path design around it, and a little fountain in front. I didn't copy this exactly, but tried to go for the same vibe.
Until summer, feeling the warm rays upon my face. Leave all my worries in a gentle breeze. Big sunshine and new life in the way I need. Counting the days until summer, feeling the warm rays upon my face. Leave all my worries in a gentle breeze. Big sunshine and new life in the way I need.
To further expand out the area, I'll be plopping a lot of buildings, and I've tried shortening it down to the essentials. There's gonna be some hotels and loads of apartment buildings with ground floor shops, and of course some nice details like outdoor seating and that sweet stuff. I'm also gonna extend out some bike paths and the road network. I found these beautiful London townhouses in the workshop and wanted to make a small street that has lots of character. One of those streets that people would seek out and take selfies in and post on Instagram. Since I got this curvy road going upwards, I had the idea of lining the townhouses up to follow the curve and add plenty of street trees all along. After I fix the heights and line them up, I go in and change the colors on all of them to make it this explosion of colors, and I really like the final look of it. This particular street definitely has some of the most expensive properties in the entire city. It probably has a range of celebrities and politicians and so on. The sloped and irregular plot behind the townhouses was just screaming for a park. Trying to make this a pretty low-key and nicely sized park, keeping it mostly natural. Some mossy rocks, a few big but pretty spaced out trees, and I try to give it a good amount of just open grass areas. But I do add one central area with a playground and a public toilet. And then I fill out the park with some more public toilets, a fountain, and lastly some nice lights so you can chill here after sunset too. Getting in these tiny roads, I set a framework for some more blocks of apartments and shops. You'll notice I leave a squared plot empty in the middle of this neighborhood, and that is because I plan to make a little park there, but more on that in a bit. In the middle of building this neighborhood, I discovered it was a perfect opportunity to retrofit an additional metro station between the Parliament station and Bryggen, as the underground tracks already run directly below. The distance from other stations is also decent for a metro in a central area, and the density here certainly is good enough for a small station. For now I'm just putting in the entrances and station, and later I'll detail the station underground. So what I'm building here is a little park called Ibsen Park, which will also be what the metro station below will be named after. The park was named after the iconic Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen, who had spent some time in the city and set up plays here in the city. After his death in 1906, this park was named in his honor. It was said that he would enjoy sitting in this park on sunny days when he visited, as he lived for a period in a hotel right nearby. It's a pretty small park, but I'm trying to do something a little interesting with the design. For the sidewalks around it, I use these beautiful bluish tiles and some edges, leaving some gaps on all sides for the entrance paths. I decided to use a soup pot from Park Life DLC. I just love the texture and color of this, and it just felt right here. The centerpiece is a statue surrounded by flowers in the middle of a circular path, which goes out in 4 directions. I keep some open grassy areas and then line the park with some jacaranda trees. The buildings facing the waterfront have plenty of bars and restaurants, so it felt perfect to just cover the open area across the street with tons of outdoor seating. Who wouldn't love to have a drink here on a sunny day? I removed streetlights from a lot of the streets, because I wanted to instead use these hanging streetlights I put together earlier. So I just copied them from elsewhere with Move It and pasted them around where needed. Last but not least, I come to detail the metro station below this neighborhood, named Ibsen Park. I said earlier that I put down the metro station, but that was a lie, because I'll be doing it right now. First I added some signs by the entrances, before I dug underground to decorate the station. Mostly it's the same details as always, with station signs and ads. For the wall I tried to add these nice arched brick walls with IMT, and it worked reasonably well. Anyways, that is it for this episode. I really enjoyed being back in Nomishavn, and hope you did too. As always, a like, comment and subscribe would be greatly appreciated, and help me a lot in growing the channel. I do also have a Patreon page now, in case you would wish to support me further. Hope to see you next time. have a great rest of your day, and stay tuned for some cinematics.
In the heart of Scandinavia, by the northern sea, lies a port so grand and ancient, where history runs free. Nomishavn, a city old, with wooden houses fair, cobblestones beneath our feet, and harbors rich and rare. Oh, Nomishavn, where past and present meet, with bustling markets, lively bars, and music in the street. From old town charm to skyscrapers so tall, in Nomishavn there's magic for us all. The market's hung with vibrant life, where traders shout their wares. Fresh fish and Nordic crafts abound, the spirit of the fairs. In cozy bars and nightclubs bright, the night is always young, with laughter, dance, and songs of joy, our hearts are warmly sung. Oh, Nomishavn, where past and present meet, with bustling markets, lively bars, and music in the street. From old town charm to skyscrapers so tall, in Nomishavn there's magic for us all. Exceptional restaurants, with flavors rich and fine, from seafood fresh to Nordic feasts, a culinary shrine. By day the city's modern face, with trains that smoothly glide through parks and woods, where nature's grace and urban worlds collide. Oh, Nomishavn, where past and present meet, with bustling markets, lively bars, and music in the street. From old